This is JB with Going Wild here today. Wanted to share with you a little bit of how I do this anyway. Edge tools, whether it be in a knife, hatchet, or axe, or machete type. They're all basically similar as far as the concept anyway. Okay, the different tools you might want. Let's see, for tough jobs, the file, I wouldn't use this on a knife, but on an axe or a machete type. If you've got nicks in the blade or anything like that, which happens, this is good to take some of those off. We have a whetstone. You can use water, but I prefer to use oil. My favorite is olive oil, believe it or not. I was on a trip one time, a backpacking expedition, and all we had was some olive oil to cook with, and I used that on my whetstone, and it made a really nice edge, and I like that, so I just got used to using it. Not only that, but if you use your knife for cutting food or anything like that, you don't have to worry about regular 3-in-1 oil or something like that getting in the food. Okay, so we have the file. It's just pretty fine file. One side's finer than the other for tough jobs. Whetstone has a rough and a smooth side usually. Then you have the Lansky puck. These are pretty handy devices, great for hatchets. Then you have a smaller whetstone, great for carrying in the field with you. Then you have the strop, the leather strop. It's smooth leather on one side and kind of the suede side on the other. Okay, first of all, we're going to start with, we'll put the Woodsman's Pow in here, just because it's easier to give a demo with. One thing you want to do is match the edge there. We'll move this a little closer so you can see a little bit better. Okay, from here, you see, I still have a gap in between the file and the edge of the blade. I want to decrease that until I kind of match it right there. And then you can see this one has a couple of nicks, so that's why I wanted to use the file on this. You just want to kind of match that. That's too much. And take some of those nicks off. And I'll work on that a little bit while we're talking. And on this side, I'll just kind of match it also. And you notice I'm not really going to town on this. I'm just trying to repair the nicks. And the same on a hatchet or an axe. If you have nicks in the blade, you can use that. The Woodsman's Pow actually came with this weird little stone here. It's great for kind of getting inside there, especially on the hook end. This lays good. It's taking some of those nicks out. And the edge, you want a nice point like that. Different grinds on different blades. You have the Scandinavian, the flat grind, and different things like that. But all the very edge comes to a point. Now, if you sharpen one more than the other, it kind of gets lopsided. So you want to do both sides equally until you get a nice point right there. That's the goal. And for me, I don't like to get too fine an edge. You'll see a lot of people do their knives until you can shave hair off their arm, you know. I don't really want that fine of an edge because it makes it more fragile. It breaks easier, especially on a field knife. Kitchen knife, I might do that, especially a fillet knife. Hold it nice and flat. A hatchet's pretty much the same way. Let me show you that. If you got any nicks or burrs, kind of come with a file. And once again, you just kind of want to match that angle there. And you're not going to hurt anything. If you mess it up, you can always redo it. One thing people forget nowadays is all these tools, they're meant to be able to resharpen. Talked to somebody one time, they were looking for a lawnmower blade for their lawnmower and couldn't find one. I said, well, have you resharpened the blade that's on it? Because you can resharpen them. And the answer was no. It's like, well, there you go. You just take it off, resharpen it, put it back on. And for a lawnmower blade, I'd probably use the file. Okay, now we're moving it down a little bit. I'm going to use the landscape puck on this. Just touch, it's got a smooth and a rough. I'm going to go ahead with the smooth side. Just kind of give it a nice little edge treatment there. All the way down to the end. Come back the other way. And I like putting them in a vice since I'm here in the shop. But you can lean it up against a log or hold it against on your knee. It'll do the same thing. You can put a little water on it or oil if you want. I'm just really just taking off a little bit of furs at the file left. And there's that. And it doesn't take much. You don't want to go to town on it. Okay, with the knife. For the knife, rarely would you want to use a file. You'd only use a file if you had some pretty good nicks in there. Okay, one thing I'm going to use, a little olive oil. Just a drop or two will do it. Just kind of mix it up. From here, I'll just kind of get it. It's all about the angle with a knife blade. You don't want too low. You want to bring it up probably around 20 degrees or so. And just take a nice smooth glide down the trail. Get the oil back on there. And this time I'm going to pull towards me. And get near the tip. You can kind of angle the tip right there. Towards me, or you can go in circles, especially with the tip. Some people don't like circles, but I think it works. Especially with the tip of the blade there. And this is an old hickory knife. This is their fish and small game knife. So from here, I'm just gonna run it back down. You want to do it pretty even sides, 5 on each side, or just alternate like this right here. And that's the smooth side of the stone. Next, what I'm going to use is a strop. I'm going to wipe the oil off here on my leg. I have a strop here. Let's see. Hang it, see if you can see there. Hang it on the nail there. Turn it so you can see. Okay, the trick to stropping, we have some compound you can put on the smooth side here. You just kind of rub it on there, and that's just like a fine grit. Just takes a little off. And from here, what I want to do is just hold the blade away from me, and I'll just put light pressure. Just not a lot of pressure on any of these. I don't want to take a lot off. Just a little bit. Just enough. Just back and forth. And my granddad was a barber, so I remember watching him do his razors, and occasionally he would go to the kitchen and just break out all the knives in the kitchen and just put an edge on them. And with a knife, primarily what you're going to use, I'm just going to do that a little bit, is the suede side. And ideally, you want to catch the blade before it gets too dull, so you don't have to use the whetstone as much. Because because when you sharpen a knife, you're actually taking steel off. And so if you sharpen it too often or too rough, your knife's not going to last as long. So the good thing about stropping is the blade will last for a long time. And just back and forth. Do this in front of the TV or listening to music. And you get faster and just come back and forth. Get it nice. You can kind of hear the angle on the strop here. And you don't want to cut towards, because that's going to tear up your strop. So you're definitely pulling away. Pull, push, pull, push. I'm pushing with the blade facing away where the sharp edge towards me. Take some off, then I flip it around and come back down. You can kind of get a little feel for it there. It's feeling pretty sharp. Like I said, you want to kind of match this edge up. Let me see if we can see this edge here. This probably has like it's more of a kitchen knife, so it's a little flatter than some other knives. You can kind of see right there. Like this knife here, this stone actually came out of the aircrew survival knife here. Some people give these a hard time because they're rat tail. But like I said, before I've had one of these my dad gave me when I was 15. Lasted me 40-something years and still kicking. Okay, but you can see this one's the grind, I don't know if you can see that, is a little sharper. It's because it's more of a field knife. And so on this, I'll just take the stone and put a little oil on it. A little dab will do it. Rub it with my finger. Get it on there. Then I would take this, just match that angle there. Very important. And just kind of then we'll do the opposite side the same. 2, 3, 4. See if I can put a little better there. Get that nice point there. It's a good thing about these small stones, they really get in there good. Okay, while we have this knife out, a lot of people get confused with this right here. They think it's a place for your thumb or something like that, but honestly, this is a saw. And this is one of the best tools for bow drilling. This saw just creates a notch in a fireboard or a hearth to a bow drill set, and it's just perfect every time. It's the right width. Get some air in there. You can see how that works on that. So if I had this on the big stone here, my angle would be a little sharper than this one. This is a flat grind, I believe, right here. And so it would be less of an angle. Whereas this one, you kind of see here, would be a slight more of an angle. 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You notice I got that little wrist flip there for the point. And it's pretty sharp already. So I'm going to take this one and put it on the strop a bit. Just on the suede side here. And this is just very fine, polishing almost. Protects the blade, keeps it nice and crisp. If I'm in the field for 3 or 4 days, probably won't sharpen it while I'm in the field. But if I'm in there for an extended amount of time, I definitely want to take something to be able to sharpen it with. Field expedient, you can use certain stones, kind of rub them flat with other heavier stones. I've even seen people take charcoal from the fire and rub it onto the end of a log and use that to sharpen their blade, and it worked. Yeah, it's feeling pretty good. Like I said, I don't like them razor sharp to where they chip the blade easily, because if you get this sort of shaved hair, most times you're going to end up chipping the blade and you have to take more off of the file. Like I said, I've had one of these since my dad. I'm going to grab it real quick since we're talking about it so much. In here somewhere. Here we go. And you can see that's what they look like new. And this is the one I got from my dad when I was 15 years old. And you can see I'm 56 now, so we're looking at 56 minus 41, 56 minus 15 rather, 41 years. Still pretty sharp. But you can definitely see the difference in the age of the leather discs on the handle there. But like I said, I've never had a problem with these knives. But this one, full tang, like a lot of people like. And I think that's pretty much it. I'm pretty much done with these. One thing I would say never do, get a grinding wheel. You can get a polishing wheel, which is a little different. It's kind of a soft, almost like the suede side of the leather, and it turns and buffs the blade. Takes a little off. But I've seen people take a grinding wheel and put their blade on it. It just takes too much off for me. Not comfortable with it. Seen people just eat away at their blades. And any kind of, another thing, since we're talking about it, is if you have these are carbon steel. Carbon steel won't hold an edge as long as stainless steel, but it's a much easier to put an edge back on it. If you have a stainless steel blade knife, you need like a diamond sharpener instead of just it's actually made of, I think they're man-made diamonds, but they're a diamond sharpener, and it puts the edge on it very nicely. Diamonds will also work on carbon steel, but it's kind of a hard steel to use just a whetstone on. Other than that, if you like what you see, have any questions, leave them down in the comments. I'll do my best to get to them. Don't forget to like and subscribe. This is JB with Going Wild, reminding you to get outside and go wild.